let's turn off this overlay, and we're good to go with game number 1 between New Chapter and Dragon's Masters X. So, NC, as you can see, are a German clan, you probably know, whereas Dragon's Masters X are more of a multinational team from the South and Central America. And while looking at the players, all boys from DmX is playing Mongols, Shork is Han, Ayuzi is playing Persians, and against them Pedro is Mayan, Andorin Han, and Skittle Mongol. So there's a difference between Mayan and Persians. So let's see what's going to be the better choice here. And we are playing on Arabia. So that's the third Arabia for today, as the first match has been 3 Arabias, but I'm kind of thinking that the third, or rather the fourth map, is going to be a bit different. We are at this point looking at the host of the room, which is all boys at this point. And he's very nicely scouting with his sheep, and right now discovering that the gold is very favorably positioned, and I have to say that the stone also, because yeah, it's going to be easy to defend, as I kind of expect he will place a mill about here for those berries, and it will be kind of easy to wall up using even the stone and protect himself potentially against some kind of drash or early raiding, as he is on the side and will be facing some kind of potential early aggression. He has also discovered the boar at the front and one of the back, so he's pretty much safe, and he also knows that there is extra gold at almost the wall, so it could be also kind of easier for him to defend. Let's have a more holistic view on the map here for his position. Very nice deer at the very back, especially when it's closer to his opponent, to his ally rather than opponent, and we are having some kind of fun, and oh yeah, this is why he's called lamer, because Ayuzi is actually stealing his bar, so pretty good job at that. We have already seen this in the last game between... Oh, that's unfortunate, that's unfortunate! Yeah, in the previous match, and well, right now, it seems like that Andori didn't really have to employ any kind of extra thingy here to actually make sure that the boar stays his, and well, Blue is forced to re-engage with the boar, and he needs to slow down a bit, because obviously if you run too fast and you just make the difference between you and the boar too big. Oh, he's really right now, yeah. Exactly, if he was just moving a bit more further and not really back, he would just lose yet again the aggression, and right now this is pretty nicely done, and will Andorin actually attempt to do the same, because obviously he's having two boars here, and I'm kinda thinking that Blue is well aware what's happening here, and he will right now try to actually make sure that both of those boars are right up under the TC, which will result in some loss of food, but still it should be reasonably okay for him, and definitely since he has stolen one of the extra boars. So well, Andorin attempt to do it yet again, but unfortunately for Blue, he will be having kinda easy time right now stealing it, because this scout is basically dead with just one hit point, as he had to re-engage the boar. But he can still do it. If he can get between the boar and the scout, he will be able to actually cancel the aggro, and he's doing pretty good job, but unfortunately for him, he did pretty good job there, but it wasn't enough, and yeah, Andorin just got rid of it, and right now he's pretty safely stealing the boar back. Well, it's a different one, but still 1-1 on boar steals. So that was a pretty exciting start right there to this Arabia. And let's have a look somewhere else. And somebody else is stealing the boar. There's a bit of a movement of different colors around the map, but it doesn't seem like that anybody else is stealing a boar here. So let's just continue with the Fog of War here, when this is right now resolved. Another stone here. And we have been looking at the map overall, which seems to be kind of decent. Yeah, that's pretty nice map for him overall. I don't really see any kind of problems. It could be slightly harder for him to wall, but if he puts some kind of wall here, he will be having extra hunt and having basically just one way opening to his base. And even though it's kind of big, it could be made smaller through some clever use of barracks and houses and whatnot. So the next to have a look at is from the DmX is, for example, the pocket that's purple Shorkis. And he's right next to wall. Yet again, that's not entirely ideal, because obviously you don't have really all that much room to actually fall back to. So you kind of want to be spawned slightly further into the map, as obviously this also leaves you quite open overall, and yep, it's going to be kind of hard to defend if he finds himself under pressure. At the same time though, he is a pocket, so he might rely on some help from his allies, and especially shouldn't be really under attack all that much. Maybe from the enemy pocket, and well, we'll see about that. Turkis is also playing Hans, so it's kind of interesting that he's playing the pocket here. And well, otherwise, They are decently positioned gold and stone, not really far away, and these 3 mines are pretty sweet indeed. Considering that these mines are between him and his ally, yeah, it's not really all that bad either. It's not really in the middle here that would be threatened by the potentially opponent, so yeah, not really all that bad map. If it wasn't for this part that he's very close to the side of it. The third from DmX is Ayuzi, as a blue player on the top side who was having the fun with the boar. Also very nice placement of gold, and he's already working on walling himself in, and also going for the 5 militia rush. Okay, and Andorin is also rushing, but just with 3. Let's switch into Andorin if he's going to respond in kind, and employ some extras. Sorry, this is where the battle is taking place, and actually not. He's going for the standard 3 militia rush. So let's see if this is going to work out. This worked out rather well for RFR in the previous match, where they both Darkly Wise with Kanala went for 5 militia rush, and it really worked well for them. But let's see how Andorin is going to deal with this. He should be doing pretty much fine because he has gotten Blue in pretty much the right position to fight with both villages from one side and from the other side with those militias guys. So he has already killed one, and right now he is having kind of bad engagement. He has already lost one, so this is a bit of a micro battle, and he kind of wants to lure those militias next to those villages at the tree line so that he has some extra support, but also he doesn't want to really not get the resources for as much time as Blue would hope. Some advances into feudal HR at this point happening for Pedro and Shorkis. Pedro, Mayan, Shorkis is Han. Okay, so that's that. And looking at the villages, we see, of course, that all boys and Skittle are having pretty low numbers, so they are doing pretty much the same thing as the Mongols, obviously. Some interesting stuff somewhere else. Well, we see Scout Cavalry raiding from all boys on Skittle at this point. He's trying to find the tree line here, and is actually Skittle aware? At this point, I would kinda guess not. And I was maybe thinking that Red was aiming for the teal as for the pocket, but pretty much not. And he is right now banking back. And Yellow, oh yeah, that's way too late. That's way too late, boy. And you will be raided here, and you should be building some extra protection here. And well, he did lose one villager. That's pretty much going to be it though, because the pikemen are right here. And even though that was a pretty nice attempt by the red player to actually raid him, he's right now going to be repelled. And we already see that Skittle is having some flags in there. So how many units you actually have hidden? Just one at this point. Just one, build in second, and you need to wait for a bit better moment to actually fight against your opponent. But right now he can even abuse some of those villages, or use some of those villages to help him, which is something that he might be wanting to do, but he is losing one extra. So he's 2 villages down, and this is definitely going very well for all boys, because as you can see, this has put Skittle at the lowest number of villages at this point, and that's quite important indeed. He's trying to finish the walls right now, finishing with stone walls, so trying to make sure that he's safe overall, which... Oh, he needs some extra, does he see? Oh, he doesn't. Oh well, this is terrible. He probably thinks that there is a cliff right next to the wall, but no, there isn't, and he definitely needs to scout something extra, otherwise he's going to be very nastily surprised very soon. At the same time though, Red is not having any kind of escape route here, so he's basically just cut off, and all he has to do is right now to fight some villies and kill them before they die altogether. And looking somewhere else, we see a big wall being finished by both Pedro and Andorin, so they are trying to make sure that they are not raided heavily. And here we see that Ayuzi is still not finished with his drushing of those 5 militias and still trying to make some kind of trouble. Here we see a bit of a dead body, so that's probably one of the militias as well, and militias from Andorin are dead, so right now it's going to be Will versus Will, but at the same time not a problem at all, because those militias are almost dead, and yeah, Willis should be able to kill them without any kind of problem. Very nice walling overall. If you have a look at the minimap from NCs, they are definitely not taking any chances with their opponents, not underestimating anyone at all, and it seems like that Andorin will be switching into archers at this point. Andorin switching into archers pretty soon, it seems, but I would kinda expect maybe cavalry archers from Han, so let's see about that. Right now, second archery range, and will he maybe be advancing? Well, yeah, he just clicked into Castle Age, and yep, I'm kinda thinking this is going to result in the cavalry archers pretty soon. Otherwise, what's happening somewhere else? with NC Pedro, who will be the first to advance into the Castle Age from NC. That is, Shorkis is in Castle Age for quite some time, and let's have a look how many TCs extra is he building. Okay, he's not going for any yet, but he's having double stables. That's definitely going to be the kind of standard from Han, and that's a lot of knights. And let's see what size, or rather what side he will choose. Blue is still okay, so these maybe weren't those guys that were raiding here. Maybe weren't the original 5 militias. They might have been just something extra, and it seems that the Persian forum Dragon's Masters X is actually thinking about some kind of prolonged feudal aggression, although I'm not exactly sure that's going to work all that well for him. He's advancing just now, and since Andorin will be way faster, and he's having quite a lot of villagers here together with some extra help from Pedro's Eagle, he was able to kill those units, and well, at this point I gotta say, these were just kind of a waste of resources, so yeah, maybe wasn't really all that worth it for the player. So Andorin is having one archer, was maybe just to confuse his opponent, I would think. Will be advancing into the next age pretty soon. Something else happening on the map. Not much, just one stable for red, not much extra. He's trying to finish a wall here at some kind of choke point, and he might maybe want to employ purple as well, because they need to make some kind of walls, exactly like NCs are doing, because if they don't, they're going to be very easily raidable, whereas NCs are going to be just completely impenetrable. This is very nicely played from NC, and I really condone what they are trying to do. A lot of stone being gathered by the Mongol player, and he's advancing into Castle Age, so it's going to be probably for some heavy boom, and then switch into Imperial, and also extra castles, of course, as a Mongol, as you will want to go for the Mangudais. Some aggression is happening in Andorin's base though, with both Shorkis together with Ayuzi making an appearance here with pretty good combo of units in the Knights and Crossbowmen, because Andorin is right now going just for the Cavalry Archers, just as we expected, and might not be enough, because really this combo is pretty sweet indeed, as those Crossbowmen are still having a pretty good range of 7 against just 5 of the Cavalry Archers, therefore they can dish some serious damage, and if they can micro properly with those horses and corner them somewhere, they will be still pretty good to go. So very nice raid indeed. It's really well played, and it's quite problematic for Andorin at this point, because obviously he's not going to have any kind of gold for those cavalry archers, and that's not something that he will be all too happy about. You can see that just 130 gold, whereas having just one hidden in each of those archery ranges, and he's definitely getting hammered pretty hard at this point, which is slightly surprising. And even though it seems like that NCs are not underestimating their opponents building the walls all around, they are right now kinda surprised, as when actually finally Shorkis realizes how many horses he has idle here, he will be basically killing Andorin right there. Well, this is really surprising, and right now if DmX actually play this correctly, and that means if they catch as many villies as they can with those archers, they will be in a pretty good position to somehow strangle them all together, because Andorin is right now not doing anything. You can see that he's having just 25 villies. That's the first problem for him. Second problem is having 18 idle. So absolutely no economy for Andorin, and he's basically out of the game. Well, that's super surprising, and is actually Teal going to help him at this point? Well, he doesn't really seem so. Teal is right now just booming with 4 TCs, which is pretty decent for Mayans in the pocket, but at the same time he needs to help. He needs to help very, very soon. You can see all those dead bodies, that's all villagers. And yeah, Andorin is just 23 villies, whereas Skittle 34, Pedro 59, that's nice. But looking at all the DMXs having like 45, and also basically being camped at Andorin's army, or rather Andorin's base, well, yep, that's not ideal at all. Andorin is trying to do at least something with raiding of the cavalry archers on the tree line here, which is going to do at least something, but still he's in way worse troubles than he's causing at this point, and I'm really curious what's going to happen here. We see TC being built, that's a third one or fourth TCs for Skittle, so that's kind of greedy at this point, I would say, for NCs, because they are the yeah, this is finished wall. It was problematic at the very start, but 40C boom for both Skittle and Pedro really is basically meaning that Andorin has absolutely no help whatsoever, and his task right now will be surviving long enough for those beasts in Pedro and Skittle actually to somehow make themselves useful, because right now they are not at all, and they are basically letting Andorin die. and hoping that their strategy is going to pay off. Yeah, I have to repeat, this is terribly greedy, and it might really come back to bite them quite strongly. So Andorin is pretty much dead at this point. There's no question there. 18 villagers, all of them idle. All of them idle overall. So let's have a check how other players are actually right now doing. Fighting wolves, okay. And having 3 TC boom, okay. That's normal. That's what you should be doing for normal play. 1, 2, 3 TCs as well for purple, and this is exactly the reason why they are having the upper hand, because, yep, they are having the extra resources for the units, and you can also see that once Andoran is dead, this also means that Chorkis is having kind of free reign of going into the other opponents as well, and even though Pedro has right now finished his walls, or at least working on it, oh well, he hasn't finished. He hasn't finished, and he hasn't sent in anything else. So he probably wasn't aware that his villager has died, and there's just doors way open into his own base. And yep, purple is just making proper use of that. And is this wolf actually going to help him? He seems to be aggroed on this almost dead knight. Well, let's see if at least some kind of nature help will be here. Yeah, a bit of an attempt at raiding here, but Pedro is doing a pretty good job actually defending against that. And the Wolfie seems to be aggroing on the wrong one, but still he's helping here. Some extra TC fire right now will be quite handy, and unfortunately for Shorkis, he's not able to find any kind of reasonable villagers. But really, I have to stress this problem out, and finally Pedro is noticing and finishing the wall, and this will be pretty much it for the raiding. Blue is also trying to attempt to go for the pocket, or maybe the yellow player, with switching from Andorin, who is just altogether leveled, it's just a TC left. And, oh well, he's actually not giving up on the base at this point. He's just now seeing that Chorkis together with Ayuzi are going somewhere else, so he's maybe hoping that he can reclaim his base, which is probably right, because this one knight is just going to be quite happy with killing this mining camp for the rest of the game with his kind of low attack at this point, and this will allow Andorin to get some ground under his feet and maybe build some extra army, even though at this point you can see that he is in a pretty horrible position, and really quite well executed early aggression from the Dragon's Master's X. Each workshop, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 TCs for Pedro, whereas for Skittle we have those 4. Yeah, still just 4 TCs and somebody advancing, not yet, but I'm switching into Skittle because I'm thinking that he should be advancing to Imperial soon. But he is not, he's right now still just booming, not really thinking about anything into aggression. And I'm still slightly questioning the strategy here, but at the same time he seems to have somehow stabilized with Andorin out of the game, and both Ayuzi and Chorkis being kind of unable to actually penetrate the defenses, just getting a few willies here through some nice raiding, actually few. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 skeletons right there. That's pretty decent, that's not half bad. Pedro is at 97 villagers, which is the same as Chorkis basically. And all boys 89, Chorkis, Ayuzi 75. So they are definitely winning altogether, and if they play this right, they might be able to take the game overall, but let's see if they are able to finish what they have started. This Mangonel is going to be quite a nice defense against those crossbowmen. Against those crossbowmen, and Andorin is right now, yeah, reclaiming the base, and he is also right now building a second town center. So this is going to result in pretty much safe gold, so he is stabilizing at this point, and we have some advances into Imperial for both Pedro and All Boys. So not really a huge advantage for NCs, especially when Shorkis is advancing as well, whereas Skittle is not. And he's kinda getting close, so it will be kinda equal. Right now housed, which is not ideal for him. He should definitely do something about that, and well, this should be the time when we will be expecting Skittle together with Pedro to get back with full vengeance. Oh, Imperial Age, cartography for Pedro. Not much interesting stuff going on there. And it seems like that Pedro is at this point trying to maybe somehow expand, trying to build a wall here so that he has a way out. And yes, he's definitely expanding with double barracks. So this is going to be, yeah, this is going to be a Eagle Warrior spam. We have seen this from Pedro in previous games, and this is definitely what's going to happen here, and that's going to be super powerful for him, and I'm really looking forward to what he can do from this position. We see some movement of some knights from purple to the bottom side, and he will be probably trying to fight some hole into the walls of yellow, who is also being harassed at this point by blue. But is it really going to be enough? I don't really think that they have enough strength to actually do something about those walls. And yellow is right now finishing the first castle and probably going to go for some extras pretty soon, as he will be switching into Stone Gathering, or will he? Where is the stone mine? Here, but it wasn't safe because there were those crossbowmen, and he still is having, oh, just second castle. Okay, so he already did click in. This is why he was having so low stone, and he will be producing from 2 castles with blacksmith and archer range, so this will be a pretty good army of Mango dice pretty soon for him. And I'm not really thinking that it's going to be disrupted by this kind of army, because really, we're just missing some kind of siege, like siege rams, or no, siege rams, the normal capped rams or whatever. But still, that's not happening, but finally we have cavaliers, and switching into Shorkis. Does he have enough for paladins yet? No, he doesn't. That's still quite some ways off, but he's at least going for iron casting, and trying to be as effective as he can with his horses. So gonna switch into the middle here, where Pedro is developing very nicely, protecting his forward base, or forward base, it's just a base bit behind his walls. But still the castle will be important in securing this gold, which he will need for all those eagle warriors and potentially other army like broom archers and whatnot. So right now purple is learning what is happening, which is kind of like way too late, because obviously you can see that those eagle warriors are already in, and also some kind of priest here. This could be also a pretty good idea, especially against those cavaliers, to help him. And well, yeah, purple was trying to build a siege workshop next to the enemy, but he chose the worst spot possible, unfortunately for him, and this is not going to help him at all. This is not going to help him at all, and those siege workshops should be happening here, and they are from the Mongol player from All Boys, who is also switching into those Mangurai. So let's see if they can be actually effective enough and stop Skittle from developing further. Skittle is building a 3rd castle, whereas 1 castle from red is being built here, so no easy job for yellow to get rid of this, and this still might be going for the DmXs, even though it's slowed down considerably, and Andorin is kinda back into the game, even though not fully. As you can see that Shorkis has already made his way through yet again, and I heard some kind of ramps, and that was from the left side, where Yuzi is doing a pretty good job of trying to level finally Andorin's base altogether. Also switching into knights, so that's pretty sweet double cavaliers, with paladins from Shorkis coming in pretty soon, looking at the upgrades here, and siege workshop right at the doorstep. So pretty nice indeed, and very nice here. Those siege workshops together with those tables very close to Andorin, so I'm kinda thinking that Andorin will be fully forced to retreat from his base altogether. He's trying to make another TC, but he will soon learn that he's right next to the wall. That's actually pretty well played by blue. And I'm kinda thinking that Andorin should be running sooner rather than later. So, Andorin, Fog of War. And he's well aware of what is happening here, so I'm kinda really curious, why isn't he retreating? Maybe he's thinking he can somehow survive this with just 53 villies against those 93, but still, I'm not really as confident as him, and I would be probably running at this point and maybe trying to defend with his ally, Pedro. Pedro is right now forced into defensive still. He wasn't able to use his eagle warriors for some proper raiding with those paladins right in his base, but switching to those guys with the bikes will be easy, and let's see what he can do with this contingent of eagle warriors in blue's base. Blue so far is not running with villagers, which is absolutely horrible for him. And stream ended. So what has actually happened? It seems like that the game somehow closed. Not exactly sure what happened. So unfortunately we will have to restart, so it's not really a problem. It's just a continuity here, so let's have a look at the bottom here, where the attack from red is actually pretty strong at this point, and yellow is having all kinds of troubles defending against that, especially with those extra paladins from Sharkis. So yep, this is going to be a pretty strong attack, and we'll see what kind of Mongol yellow is, if he's better than red or not. Okay, so we are going to go out of the game, I guess. Check the achievements real quick. Something interesting. Well, Shock is having pretty huge army with all those paladins. That's pretty interesting. Having a very good boom as well. And they definitely chose the better strat here. Fast advances, really overall well played. And those villages high, yeah. Andorin not really having a very nice game overall. And looking at those armies here, so that Shark is having pretty huge dark chunk with Mongols, all boys, decent. And third from DmX, also pretty nice. Whereas Andorin having absolutely nothing. Pedro decent. And Skittle at least something, but you can see that the advantage is pretty huge at this point for the team of the South America. So let's return into game and quit.